Curla. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Labour Party in conclusion of this debate. May I say, as President of the Labour Party, that I am very proud that it is the Labour Party who have put down a motion here defending those who are on the minimum wage, and also that we have made a clear commitment that if the order is not made by the time Labour enters government, the order will never be made to reduce the minimum wage. And if, in fact, it has been made, the order will be rescinded. We cannot be more clear than that. And I would like to pay tribute to Deputy Willie Penrose, who has, in fact, prepared a researched proposal that is in the name of the Labour Party, and to thank, as well as that, to thank Fine Gael, to thank Sinn Féin, and to thank the technical group for the support that they are lending to this Labour Party motion. I'd like to just make a few points that are important to me, because we've had some excellent speeches, and I thank all my comrades in the Labour Party for the different views that they have taken. But let me begin by saying, really, we have this week debated the position in which the country has found itself economically. We are not in disagreement that the economy has been, in fact, brought to a point of near destruction by a small group of unscrupulous people in the banking sector. In fact, the economy could be saved in a relatively short period of time, irrespective of your proposals, if you were dealing simply with deficit. But frankly, since November 2008, the consequences of the actions of a very small group of people, maybe less than 100, were joined, if you like, to the problems of the economy. I'm referring to a small group of people who sat on each other's remuneration committees. Several of them were members of 4 and 5 different boards and so forth. And that group of people really brought this economy and this society to its knees. And those looking on, look and see such people swanning around the continent with relative impunity. May that impunity soon come to an end. But then the government turns and it repeats a whole series of allegations and assertions that are simply untrue. Let me deal with the number of these just straight away. Ireland does not have the highest minimum wage. Ireland has, depending on how you look at it, the 6th or the 9th minimum wage in the European Union. And if you began to look at childcare and housing provision and other things, you'd find, in fact, a different position again. Again, there is no connection between the minimum wage and increases or decreases in unemployment. There's just one assertion that I can make with total confidence, and that is reducing the income of those on the minimum wage and taking 150 million out of the economy will have a deflationary effect, which will have losses of employment as a consequence. Why? Because those on the minimum wage know where every cent goes. They know how every cent is accounted for, and they're forced to spend it all, not on luxuries, but to survive. On the other hand, those at the very top, for whom this government and the Greens refuse to put a separate rate of tax, they do not spend all of their income. They are the people who are enjoying the 11 billion in tax escapes for the last several years. Why not start there? Now, I say that among the speeches I heard in support of this motion, the one that I am attracted to is the concept of the social floor. We regularly insult language by saying we live in a republic. We do not, because if you had any version of citizenship, you would say that there should be a floor below which nobody would be allowed to fall, be it in relation to health or housing. And Amartya Sen, for example, the Nobel Prize winner in economics, he has said, the test of your citizenship is your ability to participate in society without shame. That's what the minimum wage is about. It is about the right of people to be able to go about the ordinary things that you should be able to do in a free and decent society, be it in terms of education or health or housing or whatever. And what's more, those who cut the income of those on the minimum wage, you are visiting poverty on their children. And I say this is a disgrace, because the words are like ashes in your mouth when you say, treat all the children of the nation equally. How can a mother treat her child the same as everybody else when she loses €40 a week out of her minimum, out of her basic wages? And who are these people? 60% of whom are women. There are people, yes, working in the hospitality sector, working in the retail sector, and many of them are migrants. People we have humiliated enough. And they are also, of course, in that grey and dark area of the home care industry. So it is a myth, the myth of the minimum wage, that is stopping Ireland coming out of recovery. How dare you make such an assertion? Not one, I say it as somebody who has dealt with social statistics all his life, not one jot of evidence. I say as well as that in relation to the whole question of how I test this. Between now as we recover in the economy, the test should be, how much inclusion is made possible by what we do. That's why you transfer income through taxation. How much exclusion is a consequence of what we do. And every euro that is taken off those in the minimum wage is creating exclusion. Exclusion of a spending kind that will have an unemployment effect, and in relation to the families and the children, ones that will drive them down into poverty. And then again, the cynicism of it all. As well as that, for example, at the point that has just been made in relation to what was the health levy and PRSI combined, for those over 200,000, that becomes an anomaly. The fact that they did better out of the budget than anybody else, that becomes just an anomaly. Well, is it not an anomaly to say that you have gone after the poorest? I think that in relation to this as well, there's something very interesting in relation to it all. What kind of a message are we sending out? What's very interesting about all the speeches that I've heard of it, even the Minister of State, whom he knows I have personal respect for. The argument, is this: the minimum wage is used as a standard for other wages in other sectors of the economy. That can be deconstructed into something like this. We'll use the reduction in the minimum wage as a battering ram, and when we've done that, we'll be all in then to reducing everyone's wages up along the scale. That's why those who are on middle incomes should stand with the people who are dependent on the minimum wage. Because if they have gone after the people dependent on the minimum wage this week, they'll be after you next week, and they will continue it on. And the very, very last people that they will ever go after, the non-executive directors, the dining clubs, the people who put their poison from their own little companies into the regulator's office, into the central bank, into the Department of Finance itself. And they sat there, and they now sit there with their failed version of the economy that generations will pay for. This is a time really then for all of us who are involved in all of this. Let's have a debate about restoring the economy. Let's have a debate, much more importantly, of putting ethics back into our society, where we link the economy to the society. And we say there is no child who should be hungry. There's no woman who should have to worry about how now is she going to compensate for the school trip that she was promised to bring her child on. Or no father who is going home and has nothing to offer his children. That's Sean O'Casey's Ireland. That's Sean O'Casey's Ireland. That was the real Sean who was able to chart the conditions of the poor in Dublin City. Unlike the Shawnee who was playing golf with the other notions who were saying, and that could get a public servant to say to him, right on, Shawnee, fair play to you, Shawnee. So these people who are talking about saying revive the economy, I say this in conclusion. We will have a debate any time, a reasonable debate, about matters that are above the line of necessary citizenship. But let us agree. That's what a real republic would be about if we were making a beginning. Let's agree on the line below which no one will be allowed to fall. Let's do it in health, from the birth of a child to an older person. Let's do it in education by saying every child shall be entitled to an education. Let's do it in relation to the other things, like participation in the public world. That's when we would begin. Then we can debate the forms of the republic between democrats. But until we do that, you'll be doing one shameful adjustment as another. And what you are really saying, of course, let me say it, Those who vote to reduce the minimum wage are saying that the people who are dependent on it are lesser than other people in the society. I condemn that. I condemn it as a Republican, and I condemn it as a socialist. And that's why I am proud to ask everybody in this House to support this Labour Party motion this evening. Yeah.